Hello again, and welcome to week 4 of Advanced Exercise Physiology for Concordia University in the summer term. And I'm Professor Baines. And now almost a third or about a third of the way through the course. Hopefully you're starting to see some rhythm with your discussion board posts, getting a better idea of what's expected of you. I had one student, and you know who you are, say he was concerned that perhaps the discussion board posts were a little complicated or complex or even convoluted. And they are intended to be a little bit complex because the whole idea is to take in this bulk of information and apply it in a usable manner. It's not something I don't think anyone here is trying to become a physiologist specifically, or a clinical physiologist or clinician. The whole idea is to make this usable for us as coaches. So that's the intention of the discussion board posts. Now, along with that and performing well on the exam, just a few brief ideas I wanted to go over for you to hopefully help you keep improving, keep getting better, and make it a little easier for you. First and foremost, looking at the simple concept of something I mentioned in the last video, but you're supposed to be checking those announcements at least twice a week, preferably Monday or Tuesday, and then Thursday or Friday, in case you're missing something like a sample post from me to know what's expected of you from the posts you do each week, or some ideas to keep in mind with the exam or a paper. Please make sure you're checking those. It's very, very important for your success in the program. And as far as your weekly post, submitting by Wednesday, there was some confusion in one of the previous weeks because we had something down with Blackboard. The next week, then some people weren't responding as on Wednesday as expected. So make sure you're getting your responses in by tomorrow, today being Tuesday, for week 4, and make sure you continue to do that. Obviously, the sooner you do that, the more feedback you can get from your fellow students and from me. And my intention is still within 24 hours to make sure I respond to you with some inquisitive questions or comments to make sure you can improve upon your grade and improve upon your thought process so you can get the most from the discussion board in the first place. The first exam is this week. By the end of the week, you have to take that 104 question. It says 100 questions here, but it's actually 104 questions, 2-hour exam. It was open, it's closed book. It's not going to give you access to that online text. So you want to make sure you're prepared for that. And I have some points here in a second here to help you with that. And of course, your first paper is next week. It's going to be on topic of your choosing. Okay, with some basic guidelines will be posted as well in your course announcements here shortly. Even though it's technically not due until the end of next week, more than a week and a half, you may want to get started at least with some ideas on that. So maybe some basic research this week. Nothing is going to make it harder for you to get your Learn Smarts and your post and your exam done this week, but something to get a head start on it. Okay. As far as post success, few reminders. Learn from those sample posts. There have now been 3 of them that are now posted from each week that I've posted with basic information you should be getting out of your posts, or a bulk of which should be in your post in order to get that 180 to 200 point expectation I'm sure you probably have or want for your grade, let alone getting the idea, the concepts we want to be learning from those posts. And make sure, once again, that you're citing at least one peer-reviewed research journal. If you're citing the textbook, you're not going to get maximum points. You're going to lose at least 5, 10, 15 points, all depending on how you cite and whether or not you cite at least one peer-reviewed research journal. And again, you got to make sure you attach it or link to it specifically so that I can access it, so your fellow students can access it, and know where you're getting your information from. And when you're citing that textbook, you better make sure the textbook is not just making a random statement, because if they're citing a resource or another journal and you just didn't cite that, you said the textbook, you're going to lose points. Make sure your posts are in your own words. You'll note that when you see my sample posts that there's virtually nothing quoted other than maybe a question you might be asking someone, so I quote it as if you're talking to someone. I don't want you to quote things. I want you to state it as if the understanding is your fellow students and I have read the material and we have a basic understanding of the material such that you don't have to describe the process of everything, just as it relates specifically to your application. If it's very vital you mention it in that regard, then please do. But otherwise, do your best to avoid any quotations. When you're citing a resource like a journal, don't quote something, put it in your own words, and then cite that research journal, okay? Now, as far as your success on your exam goes, I would say you should probably read the chapters 0 through 8 at least twice. If you've been skimming through them and just doing enough just to get well on the Learn Smarts, you're going to have a hard time with the exam. It'll seem foreign to you. It's like anything. A foreign language is foreign because you haven't used it. These concepts are going to be foreign to you if you've not taken the time to go over those chapters. I would suggest you read them at least twice, knowing full well you're not going to get overly complex concepts, but the basic applications you better have, okay? That said, read the sample posts too. those sample posts contain a fair amount of information that are going to be concepts that you're going to see on your exam as well. Some of it's going to be technical, as I said, but most of it's going to be applied questions on your test. They'll have some technical questions, but if you've read through those chapters at least twice, you'll have no problem with that. And if you think just because you're a pretty good student, which probably most or all of you are, that you can just skim through the chapters and do well on that exam, it's not going to go well for you. So please take the time. And we'll see you again soon. Please email me or call if you have specific questions. We'll talk to you again soon.